Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm glad to be here today. And since we are in spooky season, of course, I felt it would be appropriate to talk about, well, spooky book. I'm here today with Molly Macabre. How are you doing?
Good. How are you, Britton?
I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome. I'm excited for spooky season. We are in full swing. It is October.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot of fun. I've got my spooky reads here, and I thought it'd be a good idea. I was already gonna do this, but I'm like, why not do it on Halloween? But I thought I would talk about your book today, or we would talk about your book today, Dark Bloom. So here's my copy that you
Awesome.
that you graciously gave to me, even signed. There's a little sign right there.
Signed.
So yeah. Um, but yeah, thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Um, I mean, I kind of know a little bit about this book because I've seen you talk with other people on your channel. But for like the people who might not know, because I don't know if I don't know how many of my audience members watch or have read your stuff. But like, how would you describe Dark Bloom for people who don't know what it is?
So I would say Dark Bloom, it's a post-apocalyptic zombie story, but we focus really on the characters. So we're focusing on two pretty broken people and how they are not only surviving the world as it is, but kind of healing from their traumas of the past and taking a look at how that translates into the apocalypse, really.
Mm-hmm. Um. I like I said, I would ask what inspired it, but I know you've talked about it a little bit. I think we've also talked about it a little bit since I had you on my podcast all these months ago.
I mean, we can talk about it again if you'd like.
Yeah, I always feel bad for like rehashing stuff, because I try to as a journalist they teach you to try and like be super thorough,
Right.
try not to ask like too like expected questions because like sometimes the interviewees get kind of tired of being asked the same thing.
No, it's okay. And the nice thing about
I was
the
about to
things
say
and
what I'm saying is it probably bugs me more than you, so it's
oh
okay. Unless it does bug you, then I don't know what to say.
no, it's totally fine. I think the nice thing about the what inspired this story was that the events are over 15 years old, so that definitely old wounds. Definitely had to reopen some old wounds writing it, but it was also therapeutic. Um, I would say that what inspired this story mostly was going through difficult relationships as a teenager. Um, and kind of finding a way to escape reality by creating these two characters who were going through something really dark, but finding healing and trust within each other. So I was kind of able to escape from my own surroundings by kind of, I guess, dissociating and creating these characters in my head. And that's just, they've lived many different lives, Nick and Kate have, in my head. But when I sat down to actually write, I was like, I have my characters. I know what I want them to do. I just have to give them a dark setting. So I just kind of threw them into a zombie apocalypse and watched how they survived.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean, I find with a lot of zombie stories, it generally deals with people. And the reason I like zombie stories or apocalyptic stories in general, and I'm not saying these are the only kind of stories that do this. I like stories that are about I don't know really what to call it. More like the suppressed savagery of human beings. And what I mean by
Hmm.
that is like when you push somebody, like they can reveal things about themselves that they probably didn't even know was there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I love about, and you're right. The other stories have that tendency, but it's really post-apocalyptic and, dystopian stories where you get kind of a revelation of the human condition the most. It's like when there's no rules, what are people really willing to do and able to do, and how do relationships function, and not just romantic relationships, just how do human relationships function after the downfall of society. And I find that so interesting and so intriguing. So I definitely get that.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorites. Well, it's a comic series, but you're probably familiar with it. The Walking Dead, or
Hmm.
maybe familiar with the TV show more than the comic. But I don't know if you've ever read the comic, but it deals a lot with that.
I have the first one. I've never cracked it open though. I really should. I've never actually read a comic, so maybe that's a good place to start.
I mean, there are worse places to start. It's not just superheroes,
Right.
but yeah. I mean, I'm not even saying like you know, like post-apocalyptic books do this always. Like there are other books, like one of my favorite books is Heart of Darkness, which is basically about colonialism and how that ends up making savages out of the civilized people attempting to civilize, lands in Africa, basically.
Mhm.
Um, but in this story, there's a little bit of that, but there's also like a very, very like it looks really into trauma and how people deal with it and how people kind of overcome that.
Yeah, for sure. Because if the end of the world were to happen today, you kind of carry with you who you are, and then you have to kind of figure out what that looks like in this new setting. So that was something that I enjoyed exploring too.
Yeah, it's yeah. So I mean, I guess Nick and Kate, don't really have much things to distract themselves with at this point because they're in this mess. So I guess they're gonna have to deal with it at some point.
Yeah. Yep. Nothing to do but face the music.
Yeah. This book feels really, and I know you've said this, but it definitely felt really personal when I read it. Like you kind of like were you pulled from somewhere like deep within yourself to make this.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of these scenes were just, like I said, Nick and Kate had been characters in my head for a long time before I even thought about writing. So some of these scenes had lived in my head for a long time too. And so it's just kind of interesting finally putting them not only to paper per se, but integrating them into an actual story that had a, beginning, middle, and end. Um, and yeah, it's funny too because going through, I found a lot of things that are really personal after the fact too. So it's not all of it is really obvious to me. I found little details afterwards that are like, oh, okay, that's why I put that in, or that's so funny because that really relates to this scenario in my life. So not all of it was really very conscious. Some of it was very subconscious of me.
Well, I hoped not all of it was autobiographical. Hello, dog. Uh, cameo from the dog. Uh, I at least hope not all of it was autobiographical because some of the stuff the characters get up to in this or stuff that happens to them is kind of fucked up. Pardon my
Yeah.
French.
Nope. Yeah, I like to call it like a very artistic take on an autobiography. Very fictional. The thoughts and the feelings are very much there. The events themselves are all fictional. So
Yeah, I mean, I hope you didn't get like trapped in like a weird sex dungeon. And I was like, what kind of serial killer shit is that? No, but I doubt it. I doubt that. But no, it's But yeah, I enjoyed it. I was very surprised because I started this. I read it in like late April, and I thought it would cut into May, and I finished it in like 3 days. Because like I don't know, you pace yourself very well. You're really good at like keeping things moving really fast. I mean, there were like a couple of things that I was kind of like, I think she could have cut that out and it would have been fine. But it mostly moved very very well. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, I get, I guess, bored with myself if, especially if there's a, especially in writing that one, if there was a moment that was kind of a little getting emotional, I'd be like, well, we need to break this up with some trauma, some destruction, some horrible event. So, things are often getting interrupted and cut short when things are happy and slow moving. I think I think we slow it down in the sequel a little bit.
No, I mean I'm not
Um,
saying that was like bad. I'm just saying I liked that it, because I was reading some kind of dense books at the time, and I was kind of like, this is nice. I
right.
mean, it's not like it's not a beach read or anything. It's not like, this is nice. It's like, oh god, this
Right.
is horrific. But like it moved fast. And I was like, this is nice.
Yeah, it is funny how sometimes you need that, really dense, like I'm ready to get into I just started Iron Gold, and I had to like wait until I was ready to immerse myself in 20 hours of an audiobook. Um and then sometimes you just need something that is a easy read, not easy of course of content, but just something that you can get through, makes you feel accomplished, you get the heart of the story. I don't know. It's funny how sometimes you need something different.
I'm like, yes, I'm good at this reading thing.
Yes, exactly. Just yes. That's why I love novellas or like picking up an audiobook that's like 2 or 3 hours long and I finish it, in 2 days cuz I'm really a slow physical reader, so audiobooks make me feel really accomplished, especially if they're a couple hours. I'm like, "Man, I'm good. Look at me go."
Yeah, no, I admit I was kind of hesitant to ask you to come on this because you just recently released a novella, and I was like, oh god, I'm gonna ask her to come on and talk about Dark Bloom. She's gonna be like, I just released this new book. What are you doing?
No,
Which is
it's
totally irrational, by the way. I'm you said yes and it was fine, but I was just kind of my anxiety ridden brain is like, oh god, she's gonna she's like, oh
yeah,
this book
I'm
again.
No, it's actually been funny because I released the novella and like there will be some days where that will do better than Dark Bloom and I actually get kind of offended and I'm like, "No, but my baby, my original, my my debut. What about my debut?" And I had to remind myself like that's really not what this is about. It's actually not for me, it's for the readers, so just chill.
Well, that makes me
But
feel a little
no.
better. So,
Yeah, no,
being
I
like,
Dark Bloom is
it's like I just wrote this novella, Britain. I put my heart and soul into it. It's,
I mean, I did, but Dark Bloom will always just be my I don't know, my first love. So I will always want to talk about Dark Bloom.
yeah, I mean, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you
um,
did.
I enjoyed it. I've read a couple of really good indie books this year. I read Sledge versus the Labyrinth. I read
Oh,
Phased,
that's so good.
which is really good. I think you would like that book actually. Phased. Tori Tekken wrote that. It's about werewolf sisters. Um,
Okay.
Also deals with trauma. I read it's kind of funny. I read this and Phased around the same time. I'm just like, I guess bring on the female trauma. I'm here for it.
Just got your
And that
mega dose of it.
I'm not like being a simp or anything. I'm not like simping or anything. It was just kind of funny the timing there. I'm like, well, I
Right.
read this book. I guess I'll give Dark Bloom a crack. And
That's funny.
bad things do happen because, well, for one, this is a post-apocalyptic story, and a story's got to happen. And
Yeah.
two, our main characters they go through some crap, some shit, some
Mhm.
stuff.
Yes. It
Um,
hits the fan.
one gets tortured. I was like, Oh my god. I feel dirty reading this.
Yeah, that was my goal, was to make the reader feel uncomfortable, but also not go too far, if you know what I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
not put unnecessary details into that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, the plot of this story is pretty simple. It's about these two people, Nick and Kate, who are in this very bizarre situation, and where people are, which is, if I recall from our last conversation, it is based on a real thing, if I remember right. Um,
oh, the disease?
yeah, the disease.
Yes, it's based off of the Kuru disease, which is, it's similar to, like, the mad cow disease,
Mm.
but, of course, I took a lot of artistic and medical liberties with this. I,
Obviously, yeah. Uh huh.
had to make it my own, and I'm not a doctor, so, but, yes, it's based off of a real disease.
Yeah. I and that actually plays a role in in part of the book. But they get caught up in this apocalyptic situation, and they're like, "Well, we're the only two around here. I guess we're gonna have to make it work somehow." And starts a romance, and I actually thought that was really well done for how fast this book moves. I guess getting put through the crap will be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not explaining
Yeah.
myself very well. I've had a long day.
That's okay. Yeah, I also feel like, with an apocalyptic story, you get to the heart of someone a lot quicker because there is nothing else. You're not behind social media or trying to conform to, like, what society wants you to be. So if you're spending all your time with somebody in the apocalypse, you pretty much got what you get, like, that's who they are. So that's, they don't spend a lot of, like, their time together isn't very long, but
Hmm.
it's pretty, you know, I guess, quality because of the fact that there's really nothing else to mask who they are.
Yeah, that's a I like that. I like how you said that. It's yeah, Nick is coming back from the military and is kind of having a hard time with that. There's one part I don't remember exactly where it's at. Maybe it's like in the middle of the book, but it's like a flashback. And he's like playing video games, and his dad calls him, and he's like, "Hey, Dad, what do you want?" And he's all like, "Oh, I heard your girlfriend broke up with you," and then just starts saying some of the meanest, like, just straight up like, "You're a wuss, you suck." Type of, he doesn't act, I don't think he actually says that specifically, but he basically is like really lays it on him. I'm just like,
Mhm.
damn, like, calm down, bro. He just broke up with his girlfriend. Like, what are you doing? Stop that.
Yeah, his dad's not a nice guy, and we visit that again in the sequel, so
Oh no,
that's
does his dad show up?
no, just it just haunts Nick
Does he have
again.
dreams where his dad's like, quit being a wuss? He's like, no.
Kinda, he just fights a lot with, his perception of himself versus how other people see him. His when you have somebody, you know, reaffirming those negative things constantly to you, it's hard to believe anything different.
Yeah, I think you capture that very well. Though, I mean, there were some times where I thought it was a little on the nose, a little bit. Like, there's one part where Kate's like, "Ugh, it's always been this way since, her dad." I'm like, okay, you didn't really, I kind of gathered that. You didn't really need to say
Right.
that, but okay. But, I guess it's better to be too clear than, like, too, like, opaque. I don't know. But, again, I've had a long day. um, but yeah, it's but I really like how you deal with that, because that's also something I've dealt with in my life as well. Not necessarily. I mean, well, I got bullied when I was a kid, so that did a number on my self-esteem. But I do think you really capture that, like when you get used to it after a while,
Right.
and you're like,
Yeah, just
well, and then you're like, well, why do you like say that about yourself? Can't you like think of something positive? And then like you're just like, wait, that's real. That's a thing,
right. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have anybody specifically in my life saying things like that, but I think that for me that person has been myself.
Hmm.
Telling me negative things, and so it's like after a while when somebody says something that negates that or that goes against that, you're like, no, because I've been hearing this my entire life, so I'm pretty sure that's the truth. So yeah, it's definitely hard to retrain the mind to think differently, especially when dealing with oneself. And depression and anxiety come with low self-esteem already, so it's just really hard to break that cycle.
Yeah, like yeah, and I do get the sense that like they both have had a rough go of it, for lack of a better word. Um, um, but yeah, it's I really liked their journey, for lack of a better word. I liked how they like it felt like a genuine connection between these two lost souls who've kind of had a crap go at it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's what I was trying to build, was this slow and steady and believable connection versus just like I didn't want it to just be like hey, you're probably the last dude. You want to you want to hang out? I wanted it to be genuine and
She
to
slid
be
into his camping bag, for lack of a better word.
yeah. Exactly.
He's
Yeah,
like,
I
ah,
didn't
get
want it to
away.
be
There's even one part I really like where she's like, "Why didn't you bang that lady anyway?" And he's like, and he can't even like come up with a. I was kind of I guess I shouldn't have been, but I was kind of surprised because at like she's just straight up like, "Yo, like you didn't hit," and he's like, "No, I didn't. It just felt weird. I'm sorry." He's like, "All right, whatever."
Yeah, well, he's kind of starting to be into her, and she's like, I don't know. She's
Why are
kind
you
of like,
not
well,
being a
her
man?
self-esteem.
you know?
Right, right, exactly. But of course, like her self-esteem is low too. So she's like, oh, obviously he's not going to be into me. So why didn't you go? Yeah. So it's a weird connection. And of course, the self-esteem, of course, plays a role into it as well.
There's also like a lot of trigger warnings, people, for if you're concerned about that. Like, there's some messed up stuff that happens here. Like our main character nearly gets. I think she actually gets sexually assaulted, but that was before the whole shebang. Almost happens again. I mean, there's violence, obviously, and then it's always weird, isn't it? And I guess it makes sense because like sexual violence is more of a like personal thing than like getting murdered.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can get murdered for over money, over a lot of things. But it's definitely a very more personal reason to be assaulted in that way.
Yeah, like if you just like shoot somebody, they're dead. I mean that's horrible. You took away that person's life, but like on the other hand, it's like might be even worse. I think it is worse actually.
Yep, there's definitely worse things than death.
Yeah, like getting locked up in a freaking dungeon with this creepy ass dude she was dating. Which I you know what? I won't say that. I was like, you know what? I'd have frickin' run. But you know what? I've been in abusive situations, and sometimes you're like, you know what? I can put up with this, and then it's
Right.
like, no, you can't. Oh man, sorry. I was gonna
You're
let you
fine.
talk. If I thought you were gonna.
No, my mind just was thinking about
You know what? I'll ask. Where'd you come up with that? Where like the her ex boyfriend being like this psychotic. I got serial killer vibes from him, but you know. But definitely, I've known people that type of thing has happened to. Not that like dungeon thing specifically, but like where like they're super, like, oh, where'd you go? Oh, are you banging some other dude? And she's like, no, bitch, I just went out to the freaking bar the other night. Get out of here. I've seen a lot of situations like that, and I've met
Yeah,
people who've
so
gone through situations like that.
right. Yeah, I would say that Connor was like a so that's how my ex-boyfriend was. He was very mentally manipulative and abusive in that same way that you're talking about, like, keeping tabs and where have you been and where are you going and all of that. Um, and so I just kind of took that and made it very literal. So instead of being trapped mentally, just made Kate trapped physically because it was easier to explain and easier to go into versus like many years of mental manipulation. That would just have made the book a lot longer and more confusing.
I mean, that's
So yeah,
fair.
it's
I
definitely
I
yeah.
get that.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to explain somebody being trapped in a cage than and you're right because you get people that are like, why don't you just leave? And like with my ex-boyfriend would say like, if you leave, I'm gonna kill myself. If
Yeah.
you leave, I'm gonna,
Why do
I'm gonna
they
end up
always say
homeless.
that? Like it's always like I've seen this in like movie, I've seen this in real life. I'm like, why is it always that? Like, can't you just don't do that? I remember my
Don't do that.
I remember my dad once. My dad and I talked, and I was because yeah, I won't get into the specifics, but I had friends in the past who were just absolutely insane. And he's like, well, if they threaten to do anything, like I'm gonna stop being your friend or something like that, they go, well, that's too bad. And I'm like, well, that's a good idea, but when they're like, I'm gonna like off myself, you're like, well, I don't want that on my conscience. That's terrible. It's probably why they do that. So I just answered my own question. But anyway, but seriously, it's like, why do you always go there? Like, calm down, bro. Like, don't do that. Like, get mental health,
Yeah, that's definitely
mental
what he
help.
needed. Mental help. Yeah.
My brain, my brain is short circuiting today.
I know what you meant. It's all good. Yeah, I don't know. People are just really and it's funny because it's like the people that are like that, nobody ever suspects that they're like that behind closed doors. They're always just it's likable and
Yeah, it's like, what do they always
uh
say? It's like, oh, Jimmy, I never would have suspected he was beating his girlfriend. He was always chill with me, you know?
right. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like when you know the person behind those closed doors, it's just kind of it's a lot different and it's
Like,
scary and
when you bang someone or if you're, like, with a parent, like, you get to know them very intimately, I
yes,
guess.
yes, yes, and that's fortunate or unfortunate.
Yes. This is a bit of a non sequitur. I saw a photo. I think your anniversary was recently, which congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
And I thought I saw a picture of your husband. I'm like, he's a lot skinnier than I thought he would have been.
Well, that was 12 years ago. So we were both tiny and babies. So, yeah, not so anymore.
It's like, why are you mentioning that? Britt's a weirdo. But anyway,
No,
no,
that's
I saw that. I'm just kind of like, that's funny. But yeah, no, going back to the actual book. So yeah, they basically meet each other while they're scrounging about in the post-apocalypse. Kate's kind of like, I'm kind of suspicious of this guy, but well, he's the best I got for right now, so we're gonna just stick together. And Nick's like, awesome.
It's like,
Not
yeah,
just
here
because he's
for
a
it.
man, but also he's like a kicked puppy.
Yes. Yeah. And it kind of gives him purpose. It makes him feel good. It boosts his self esteem. He's like, look what I'm doing. I'm helping. This is cool.
I'm protecting this woman,
Yes.
which is always
And yeah, I
good.
mean, She's like, "Well, we've been together for 24 hours and he hasn't done anything to make me suspicious. Okay, now it's been 48 hours and, he's been chill. So I guess we'll just keep going."
Yeah, and then
So,
they start like sharing a tent, and she's, they go to a couple of survivor groups. They meet like these like real creepy people at like a what was it? Like a golf? It wasn't a golf course. It's like a
the
shack somewhere.
junkyard.
Junkyard. Yeah. Why did I think a golf course? My brain is not working today.
That's okay.
It's
I
not.
mean, it's been several months since you read it,
That's
so.
true. That's true. And the like it's like a guy, a couple guys and a couple girls, and like, straight up like they seem okay, just, little kind of that southern white trash thing going. I see.
It's in Virginia, so.
And then she's like and then one of them tries to put the moves on Nick. He's like, I'm a little uncomfy. So
Yeah, he's like, I don't even know you, and it's like the end of the world, and that's really not my main concern. So,
I did think a little. It was a little weird when they like turned on Nick and Kate. He's like, well, I guess we're gonna essay and murder her now, and I'm just like, what? How
yeah,
how
that
does getting
chapter.
attacked? How does getting attacked by zombies go like, hey, there's this woman and guy who showed up. I'm gonna kill the guy, and then I'm gonna sexually assault and also murder this lady on a whim. Like that. Which, hey, I mean, I guess it's happened before, but like skewed priorities, man. I'd be trying to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, David is quite or was quite unhinged, and Julia just like the drama. Um, yeah, that chapter was
Yeah, and the
interesting.
lady's just like, yeah, fuck that one, she's like, kill her, and it's like, what's going on here? Like,
That chapter went through a lot of rewrites. That was fun.
yeah, no, it's interesting. So, like, what happened? Was it like even more like wild, or was it just like, okay, why is he like randomly trying to murder this person during this whole thing?
Well,
Maybe not randomly, because they were kind of sus from the very beginning. Like, Kate's like, Nick, I don't like this. I want to leave. And Nick's like, well, let's just stay a few days. It'll be fine. And then it's not fine.
um, yeah, so essentially I needed them to have to leave, and in, I guess, horror style, I didn't want it to be like, "Okay, we're gonna head down the road. Thanks for everything. See you later." Like, that's boring. Um, so it was always David was always the bad guy, but originally, Emily was going to be his accomplice. She was the friend, her and Kate were hanging out in the junkyard while everybody was gone. Um, and I just needed a way for them to have to leave, and it just kind of went through like at first Kate was lured out of the campground, the out of the junkyard. Um,
Oh,
but my but my editor didn't like that. Just the whole thing was very unbelievable, I guess, of how they got out. But Nick did gouge an eye out in that scene. So that was fun. And then in another scene, I had them lure Nick out, and Kate ended up killing a bunch of them. So, but my editor didn't like the original, and I rewrote it a couple times, and then let my betas decide which they liked best, and that was the winner.
yeah, that kind of reminds me. I kind of like that Nick isn't like a stoic badass dude. Like nothing against Joel from The Last of Us. He's a great character, but it's not like. Well, actually, he is kind of like Joel, where he's just like a normal guy
Hmm.
who. I mean, he was a Marine, so he's got some skills, but like he's not like a.
He's not like, look how awesome I am, and like doing all these crazy, unbelievable things and running around. And
Let's
yeah,
go shoot up a
that's,
hospital. Like he doesn't do
yeah,
that.
yeah. I didn't want to portray him as, I mean, obviously the whole thing has an unbelievable aspect to it because it's fiction, but I didn't want him to be like some untouchable, invulnerable hero.
Like I think he gets jumped a couple times in the story.
Yeah.
Like he gets jumped at the hospital, and they're like, "Oh, let's try this little thing we got here." And he's like, "What?"
Yeah. It's like, you guys said you needed help. Like, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah. And Kate's like, "No." But yeah, so I'm just going all over the place here.
That's
but
okay.
um but yeah, so they leave the junkyard, they go on some wacky misadventures, um, for lack of a better word. Uh they find a house and they hang out at the house for a while.
Mm-hmm. That's where things get steamy.
Yeah, I was gonna say I kind of liked how you wrote that. I was like, oh, okay, he's getting a little, he's putting the moves on him. Nick's like, no, damn it, I can't live with myself. He has like a
Yeah.
he has like a chivalry thing going. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, is that the right word for it?
I
It's
I
like
think so. Yeah.
it's like the principle of the matter. It's like that's how
Mm-hmm.
he feels about it.
Yeah, and from the start, like he doesn't quite know everything that happened to her, but it's kind of obvious that she's dealt with something, and so that kind of makes him like,
He's
you
sensitive
know,
to that.
right. So, he always would have been respectful, but it helps make him even more like cautious and kind of self-analyze. What am I like? Is this okay? Am I being comfortable here? So, yeah, that's what makes that basement scene even more difficult for him.
Yeah, like he's playing some old like 2006, you know, emo rock music. And I'm like, yeah, brings me back to high school. Wasn't My Chemical Romance,
Yes.
sadly. I'd have been like, yeah, okay, I see what you're doing there. But, can't have everything.
Yeah, it was of Mice and Men that they were listening to,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I really wanted to put lyrics in that chapter, but, like, copyright issues, and I could have gotten sued, so I didn't, but that would've been cool.
Excuse me. And,
You're fine.
yeah, she's like, ooh, yeah, I like you. And he's like, yeah. It's like, I like you too. This feels wrong. And then zombies show up. You're like, damn.
Yep,
All right.
yep. I love my interruptions.
Get gets blue balls from a zombie. No, I'm kidding.
Well, yeah, and then,
That was
like,
probably a blessing in disguise for Nick. He's kind of like, eh.
well, that's true. Yeah, he's like, "Oh, good, they're glad somebody showed up to save the day."
Yeah, but but yeah, I really like how the romance came together. I really enjoyed that. It felt natural, even if they were like, even if they're like together for like a short time.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, it's like all of what, a couple weeks maybe, which, in like today's standards would be like you definitely can't know somebody or, know if you want to be with somebody in a couple weeks. But
But
if you
hey,
think about,
if you like survive with somebody like
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
like I can't. We're on to something.
Yep. Yeah. Because I mean, you're with them 24/7 too in this situation. It's not like you're just going on a date that lasts an hour once a week. So definitely a lot different.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh man," and she's like, "You know what? Kind of fuck with you, Nick. Let's." But she doesn't like. But she does the thing where she like doesn't like. She's like, I don't know, and then the whole hospital thing happens. She's like, "Damn! Like, why didn't
I
why
know.
did I dilly dally, bro? Like, come on."
Yeah, exactly. That definitely helped put things in perspective.
Um. So yeah. Um. They end up going to a hospital, and they meet a scientist, or is it a scientist, or is he just a doctor?
He's a doctor.
Or is he just like he's a medical doctor?
Yes. research. I would say he's like a research doctor, I guess. It, all of this, so his story gets explained a bit more in the sequel, but all of this really, he had a really important reason for trying to figure out this cure. Um, so it wasn't like something he was already working on beforehand or anything.
Yeah, generally I'm not like the biggest fan of like the cure trope in zombie stuff cuz it's like eh. Now I think there could be interesting directions to go with that concept, but I don't want to I don't want to say anything unless you're like ha ha ha, wink wink. But anyway, um um but it's kind of interesting. He's like, "Hey, I'm just gonna try this thing out. So you're gonna be a zombie now." And Nick's like, "Excuse me?"
Sorry, what did he say?
And he's like, it'll just be a pedge." And he's like, "I don't want to do that." And he's like, "Too bad." And then he becomes a zombie. And Kate's like, "No, I should have been. I was so stupid. I should have confessed my feelings. What's wrong with me?" You know, there's a lot of angst in this. That's what I'll say. There's a lot of angst in this book. But it's not like
Yes.
it's not like whingy, but it's like it's a lot of angst.
Yes. I am full of angst.
That you know what I am too. So you know what I get it. I get it. I think it's a commonality with artistic types.
Probably. I think that it precedes it. I think that sometimes pain is the precedent to art.
Yes, for sure. It's kind of funny what you said earlier. It kind of reminds me of something my friend Curtis Lawson said a while back. Who's also a horror writer, funnily enough. But he described one of his books as like emotionally autobiographical, and that's kind of what I felt when reading Dark Bloom. Is that it is kind of this, again, you kind of pulled something from like deep within yourself to create this book.
Yeah, I like that. Emotionally autobiographical. I like that better than my like it's an artistic spin-off of but yeah, it absolutely is. For sure. It's I had to I don't know, like and it's both of them. It's not just Kate, it's Nick too.
Well, yeah,
Um
I didn't want to like assume anything. Like, oh, I see what you did there. I didn't want to make any assumptions, but I know you said you
yeah,
put a lot of yourself in Nick too. Again, we had a conversation back in
right.
January. If you want to go watch that, um,
Yeah, for sure. Just like my depression and things that I've dealt with too. I just kind of, put all that on Nick and let him carry that around.
like was if you don't mind my asking, you can feel free to let me know if you're like uncomfortable talking about it. But like, was your dad like? Would he call you and just like randomly and be like, "Why'd you break up with this dude?" He's like, "What's wrong with you?"
No, my dad was just not really in the picture. Um, so I think that Nick's dad being that way was kind of what I was talking about earlier is just like negative self-talk.
Mm,
For
mm.
me, it's just always been myself saying things like that versus, an actual physical person in my life. So I just kind of made that a tangible person in Nick's life.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I didn't want to assume anything because, like you said, this is like an artistic representation. This isn't like
Yeah.
here's my life story with
Right.
a zombie apocalypse. You're like, oh my god, that would have been horrific. But yeah.
Would have been boring. I was like, how would I write that? No, I guess I would have ended the same well, not ended the same way. It would have been similar, but, not as exciting. I don't know how you portray writing books in the apocalypse, but that actually I don't know, I Am Legend is kinda similar. He's writing in his journal during the have you read I Am
Yeah,
Legend?
a long time ago.
He's, like, just chilling in his apartment, writing in his journals.
These
There's
frickin'
vampires outside,
vampires.
yeah. Yeah. They're just shouting outside
They're
at
not
him.
even zombies.
Yeah.
They're just vampires.
Yeah, that book was crazy.
Yeah, it's a good book. You know, that actually kind of reminds me of a question, like what like books or like pieces of art, because I know you have like a literal playlist very helpfully in the back of the book.
Yes.
Like what like pieces of art like impacted you when you wrote Dark Bloom?
So Stephen King's It, I would say, is what basically started stirring up in my head. You know, he's such a great storyteller, and I wanted to try to be a storyteller too. So that's kind of what kicked off the start of this book. Um, I listened to a lot of metalcore, a lot of metal while I was writing. I started listening to it because my household was very loud when I was trying to write. And so I was trying to focus and I would start listening to metal and I'd be like, wow, this is really loud too. And then I just got to the point where I was able to tune it out, if that makes sense. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
the music was tuning out the sounds in my house and I was tuning out the music. Sometimes it would help inspire moods or like I listened to a lot of heavy stuff while writing like the zombie like fighting scenes and things like that. But when I got really into it, I would just tune out the music and just keep writing. Um, so definitely Stephen King, Richard Matheson was pretty inspiring as well while writing. Um, that's all I can think of. There's something else I'm thinking of. Um,
Like
I don't
a
know. I read.
oh
Go ahead.
no, continue what you were saying. I was just gonna ask like, were there any other zombie stuff that like impacted you, or were you just kind of like, I'll just throw this in here, it'll be fine, or
The
like
Walking Dead was super inspiring. I've seen every episode and I just loved that show so much. So I would definitely say that there was a bit of inspiration from that. Just, kind of like we talked about how the character dynamics, how the relationships form and break and get complicated and things like that.
as they
Um
become more savage and violent.
yeah. And just there's lots of other like pretty much anything post-apocalyptic. Two of my favorite movies are Bird Box and A Quiet Place,
Mm-hmm.
and those
Yeah.
are other examples of like how relationships function, how families form and function in the apocalypse. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you read the book of, again, kind of a non sequitur, but you mentioned Bird Box, but have you read the book of Bird Box?
I have, yes.
Okay, I was about to say I quite enjoyed it. I liked it more than the
Yes.
movie anyway.
Really? I
Maybe you feel
I
differently. I
don't
don't know. I'm a bit harsher on stuff than maybe you are, but
right.
um,
I don't really know. I don't really it's hard to compare. They were really similar, but there were differences. But I enjoyed both of them a lot, so I don't really favor one over the other. If I were to favor one, I think I enjoyed what they did with the relationship between Mallory and Tom in the movie. I think that added an interesting segment to it, but I think that what happened to her in the book was more horrific
mm,
because I mean she
mm-hmm,
was alone. She was absolutely alone. She didn't have him there to help her in the book. So that is terrifying.
mm-hmm. I you know what? I don't want to turn this into a discussion about Bird Box, but I like how she doesn't name them.
Yeah, I know. Yep, boy and girl.
Mm-hmm. But Kate and Nick are named, and they go through some shenanigans. Nick gets turned into a zombie, and Kate's real broken up about it. And then zombies breach, and that was another scene that kind of threw me off. Is when she kind of like goes like, "Man, screw this," and she like bails out of the hospital and like finds these apartments somewhere, and these people are like, "Oh, hey, come on in," you know.
Yeah.
Here's some dinner, You're like, what? Like that kind of threw me off a little bit, but I mean, hey, I get it. She needs some time to. Sometimes you need to, Sometimes you need to vent, man. I guess. Is that right? I don't know. Or no, actually, it was all the people in that apartment complex, if I remember right. I think they all
Mhm.
survived, and they're like, yeah, we're just chilling.
Yeah. They're not really like a community because they really didn't have any interest in like hanging out together. They just kind of wanted to keep living their lives, but also it was like obviously if something affected one of them, it was going to affect all of them, so they would all pitch in where they needed to.
They all huddled together, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, I used to think that like the like in apocalypse stories when all the like stores are all picked clean, I'm like, damn, like they didn't leave anything. That was until COVID. I'm like, holy crap, that's not too far from reality. This is scary. Like,
Yeah.
God, I need a reprieve. It's too close for comfort.
I know, and like people will just take the wildest things like you don't even need, and it's like, but just to have it, just to say you took it, just to, I don't know, people are just wild.
Yeah, no, they're it's like the Doors song, People Are Strange.
Mhm.
Hopefully, I mean, as far as I know, not everyone. There wasn't a bunch of stolen toilet paper, so wasn't that close on the money.
Right.
But like when I read stuff about like people like looking for things, like I get more creeped out now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
COVID made it scary to see how quick like people will hoard things and keep things for themselves, and yeah, it's definitely a glimpse into what could be.
yeah, it's quite wild. I mean, I don't know if you were inspired at all by COVID or if you were just like, huh, well, that went well. But
You know, COVID was a weird time because nothing really changed a lot for me. I work in pharmacy, so I just like had to wear a mask for 2 years, but I just kept doing the same job I was doing. So, I don't know. I know like for some people their lives changed drastically. You know, they were working from home or getting laid off or whatever. But yeah, COVID was a strange time because I just kept doing what I was doing.
yeah, that's always a I mean, I was or well, I still am in college, but I was in college at the time, so we just had to do um online classes, which was kind of annoying cuz I kind of like the interactive part of going to class. But,
Right.
what are you going to do?
Yeah, well, I think it's healthy to at least interact with people in the real world. As much as I loathe it sometimes, I think it's still healthy to do that ever so often. So, you know, COVID created a lot of social media socializing versus real people getting together, and I think that can be harmful.
Yeah, for sure. But like, did it impact you while you were writing this book, or did you start writing it like because this came out last year, if I remember right?
Yeah, I started writing it in 2022, and honestly, I don't think COVID had any impact on it at all.
Oh well, sorry.
No, you're fine.
My mic thing is moving, and I'm like, why the hell is it moving? And then it's like maybe there's something in the background I can't hear because these new microphones I'm wearing. But I don't know. I don't think anyone notices. Um, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Dark Bloom.
Some book I wrote, I don't
Yeah,
know.
this my squirrel brain is just all over the place right now.
That's okay.
It's just like nope. Um, but yeah, no. I liked. Oh yeah. The apartment people. She's kind of like, man, stuff is whack right now, and they're like, you know what? You're totally right. You should. And she's like, I hate to say this because I don't want to sound like I'm like diminishing the book or anything, but it's like that romantic comedy moment when like the lady's like, "Damn it, he's gonna get with that other girl, and I don't want it. I want him now." And I'm like, "You go get him." It's basically that moment, except it's in a
Yeah.
like post-apocalypse, and zombies
Yeah, she
show up.
just had to, like, break an arm to get to that point, but yeah.
Yeah, and then she's like, "You know what? You're right. I'm gonna go back over there." and we're gonna figure this thing out, even though he's a zombie. And um, yeah, then she goes back, and there's like a huge kind of shootout, I guess, because zombies break in and it goes full World War Z. Um, and then Nick gets cured. Maybe. So there was something about that. I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yep. More will be revealed in the sequel.
So is he like still infected, or did he cure him, or is that like spoilers for book 2?
It's explained like literally in the first few chapters of book 2, so I can talk about it if you'd like.
Okay.
He still has traces of the infection in him. So basically he gets some of the benefits of the it's not an infection, it's a disease. So he gets some of the benefits of the disease while not having to deal with like, wanting human flesh as a meal. And it also, because the disease is present in his body, other infected don't like they're not worried about him.
Oh, that's interesting. I would interesting. So it's in like the first couple. This is new information to me. So
Well, I did allude to it very sneakily in some of the end chapters, but it's like just a quick perception of Nick's. He's like,
mm-hmm,
wow, they're running right by me. This is weird. Because like when all the zombies are coming in, they're coming after Kate, who's behind him.
mm-hmm.
And so he just makes a quick mental note about that. But then, of course, everything is going crazy. So they keep fighting zombies. But yeah, in the sequel picks up, other than there's a prologue, but other than the prologue, it picks up pretty much where we left off. And just kind of figuring out some questions, and they have like a moment to breathe, so he's talking to the doctor, and that's where we start off.
So he doesn't, because I've read another zombie apocalypse book that takes place in South Africa. This was in my Wattpad days, so bear with me. But there's like one
Okay.
part where a girl who gets infected like kisses her boyfriend, and the boyfriend gets infected and it just goes bad. So is that too spoiler to ask if that happens, or is it just kind of like, eh?
No, because a prion protein disease can only be, it's either genetic or pass through contaminated meat.
Oh,
So it's not like a airborne or touching or biting or scratching type thing.
oh, okay. Oh yeah, I think we had this conversation when I had you on last time. It's like, well, how do they become zombies then if they I think there's one line, if I recall, it's like, I think it's in the meat, man. Or maybe one of them's like, I think it's at the junkyard, is like one of them goes like full like tin hat, like, it's in the meat, man. Like,
Well, yeah, because Jeff is asking Nick like what happened, because they were already at the junkyard living there before the end of the world, so
mm-hmm,
they don't really know what's going on out there, and Nick doesn't really know either. He only knows what he heard on the news, and he's like, I've heard all kinds of crazy stuff, but he was like, last I heard, it was something to do with contaminated meat, and then they just leave it at that.
oh, well, I'm just misremembering everything here today. I'm so
It's
sorry. I just,
okay.
I just feel that negative self-talk, man. It's going to be like 12 times worse after I'm over. I'm like, oh, I gotta upload
No,
this.
it's okay. I'm impressed you remember as much as you do, because I mean, I don't remember things from like a book I read like 2 weeks ago, because I move on and my brain now has more book information. So I'm impressed.
Yeah, no, it's kind of funny. I have a guy I know. His name's Steve Donahue, and he's a similar way. I'm like, huh, I'm not alone, because sometimes I'll remember stuff from books, and you're like, you remembered that? I'm like, I don't know. It's in here somewhere. But yeah, Nick gets cured, and he's just like, awesome, okay.
Yeah. Then they're like, all right, cool. So that was fun.
Yeah, and Nick's like, hey, Kate, I kind of like you. Let's do this thing. And she's like, yeah, and that's the end of that. So
Yeah.
And Kate gives kind of the speech where she's like, you know what? Things are okay. They sucked before, but now I think we got something to fight for, kind of thing, you know.
Yes, yes. And fight they will.
And the doctor's all like, okay, we got to get this, like, we need to do this vaccine thing. And Nick's like, okay. Even though he's kind of
Mhm.
like, bro, you shot me up with zombie blood without my consent. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You know?
I know they want to be so mad at him, but it's like he's literally the only person who knows how to make this. So, you know.
I feel like he was just trolling them, you know? Just like, haha, can't kill me. You know?
Right.
And Nick's like, damn, you know? Like,
I know.
it's kind of interesting. Like, I don't know if, like, how many people, like, Nick kills. Maybe, like, one or two people. Or, well, maybe he killed people while he's in Iraq. But like, he doesn't kill that many people. He's generally,
Mm-mm. I
like,
think
he's more like, you know, willing to be, like, you know, talk it out and stuff.
I think Kate's count is higher actually
Really?
as far as people. Yeah.
Yeah, Kate's
Um
just girl bossing all over this book. That's what she's doing.
yeah. Next book Nick's count will like triple. So, that'll be fun. But yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he doesn't. I didn't want. Also, I guess that kind of goes with what we were talking about before. I didn't want him to be just some guy like going around murking everybody and
Not no more. He's no murder hobo. That's what you're getting at.
right, right.
I think you
Now,
play D and
Kate.
D,
Yes.
or have you played? I don't know. I think I've heard you
Yes.
say you've played D and D.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no. So he's just like, yeah, he's like, I don't want to kill you. I'll do it, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to do it. You know,
Right. Yeah. I
he's a
think
good guy. Just
he's smart enough to know that that's probably not the best way to go about things, even if it's in a self-serving way, because it's going to be loud and like then there's going to have to be
that's true.
cleanup
Yeah,
and
I do like the detail where he's like, yeah, probably not a good idea to use a gun because you know it's gonna attract a bunch of, which isn't new. Like The Walking Dead does this. They're all like, don't use guns, bro.
right,
You want to attract a
right.
horde over here? He's like, no. So yeah, not really like that. But yeah. She's like, yeah, we're gonna have to use knives and or machetes because Kate has a machete and she's like, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, by the
That
way, she murdered
becomes
her ex boyfriend in like and it's like really freaking graphic. I was like, damn, Kate, okay, I know you had that
yes.
in you.
Yeah, well, she was ready. She was waiting.
Yeah, he kind of does the old. I always think of Shaun of the Dead, but he's like, oh, I got bit the other day with some guy. We're gonna have some fun later, and she's like, no, we're not, and she like again, just
Yeah.
like she like brutally murders him. I'm like, damn, dude.
Yes,
That's
that was a fun to write.
that that was pretty graphic. I guess it wasn't murder because, like, I guess she was technically self defense because you know he was a real freak. To be honest with you.
I mean, he was reaching in to grab her and she just did what she had to do. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not. Look, I'm saying is it was justifiable. Not trying to say like she just was like, yeah, I'm tired of you, and like murdered him one day. You know. There's also that other scene I remember where he brings one of his friends, and his friend is like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, I thought it was gonna be like a threesome thing. I didn't wasn't expecting this.
Right.
And then he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh well, okay." And he shoots him. I'm like, "Well, all right, that's okay." This guy's a psychopath,
Yes. Yeah.
or well, maybe not
Yeah,
a
that was,
psychopath. 'Cause I'm not a psychiatrist, but like, yeah, something's wrong with him upstairs.
yeah, that was a fun scene to write and the fact that it was like I think in the scene beforehand, Kate's talking about hope, and so then she's reflecting on, like, the last time she thought she had hope, and because he's talking about, like, "I'm gonna get her out of this situation because this is really messed up," and then it's like, "Actually, you're dead now, so that stinks."
Boo. Yeah, no, it's um yeah, and she's like, "Well, I'm gonna kill this guy and steal his clothes, and we're gonna just make a go of it." And then she meets Nick, which, hey, I have to
And
say, is a massive upgrade. You know,
yes.
he's
Yes.
he's a nice enough guy.
Yeah, he'll do.
Yeah, I think even Nick like chews himself out or something for like he's like, quit being a candy ass. Like, just tell her how you feel. He's like, no, she doesn't want me. You know that whole thing,
Yeah.
which again is true because I've dealt with that too. Where I'm like, I don't know, like I'm always flabbergasted. Like when I've been in relationships, I'm always flabbergasted that the girl's like, hey, I kind of like you, and I'm like, what? Me? What did I
Right.
do?
Oh.
Oh, got another dog. Got another dog.
Yeah.
This is so chaotic. Like it's.
I know. I have 3 of them, so
Oh, he's good. I bet he's a good girl or boy. I don't know.
he's okay.
Oh, he's a boy. Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
You know, I took my dog out for a walk, and I don't know what dogs are weird, man. They'll just start barking at each other.
Just like, hey, you're a dog and I'm a dog too.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I'm like, I feel like Nick is kind of like a dog in a weird way. He's very loyal, and just pet him. He needs some pets.
Yes. That's all he needs. Just some pets.
It's like Kate, just pet him a little bit. It'll probably make him feel better.
She gets there. It takes her a while.
Yeah. What you know what you said you've had fun writing scenes, but like, what was your like favorite scenes to write?
My favorite scenes to write. Um I definitely enjoyed writing like those really, I guess, sensitive scenes, hesitant scenes maybe where it's like Nick and Kate are talking to each other and like they're trying to figure things out and he's trying to be like, look, I'm not a bad guy here, and she's like, I really don't want anything to do with you or whatever. I had a fun time like balancing that, like making it hesitant but also allowing them to bond even if it was just in little tiny baby steps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. I quite enjoyed that as well. Um, as they kind of go from like uneasy allies to like, okay, yeah, we're in this now. Now we're gonna go cure the world. Maybe.
Yes, maybe.
But yeah, no, it's pretty wild. This book's pretty wild. There's a lot of stuff that happens in it. Like,
Yeah, it was fun. I didn't have like a plot when I sat down to write it. I wrote it just chronologically. I sat down and wrote chapter 1 and I was like, okay, this is what happens in chapter 1. We're going to world build and set our tone, and it's Kate just hanging out by herself and
mm-hmm,
scrounging for supplies, and then I just kept writing, and
mm-hmm.
just each chapter would take us somewhere new. So I had really no plans. I wasn't even going to end the book the way I did.
So
Um,
was the
I
duology gonna be like one big novel, and then like your editor was like, maybe you could just cut this little, or was it always gonna be a duology?
It was only gonna be Dark Bloom, actually.
Aha! How did I
Um,
know? How did I know? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
well, and what I mean is, like, my editor didn't cut any. I was never gonna write a sequel.
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind. I was mistaken, people.
That's okay. But, the way I ended it, people kept saying like, "Oh, you left it open. You could write a sequel. You could write a sequel." And I was like, "I'm not writing a sequel. I don't know what else I would say." But then what happened is I kept thinking, well, I could write this scene and then I could do this scene and I could write this scene. I kept collecting things in my brain. And I even had a list in a notebook that said
Mm.
if I write a sequel, and if was like really angrily underlined because I was like, yeah, I was like,
You're
I'm probably
you're
not
very
going to do this.
resistant.
Yes, I was. Um, so I had all these like snippets of scenes written down, and it got to the point where I was like at like a page and a half, and I was like, okay, I think I just need to write this thing. Um, so where I wrote Dark Bloom chronologically, I wrote Without a Whisper. I just started writing these scenes that I had come up with. I just started
Mm-hmm.
writing them out because that's where my inspiration was. And I still wasn't set on writing it, but I was like, well, I'm going to have fun writing this scene and we'll just see if we can make a book out of it. So eventually I had a Frankenscript that I had to like sew together because I had all these random, scenes and pieces.
Have a lot of wild ideas in the ether. I hear you.
Yeah, so that was interesting and a lot different than how the writing of the first one went.
Yeah, it's I really liked I mean I could definitely see you could like write a sequel to this for sure. It does kind of leave off like, oh, and I also like these characters. I'm like, oh, where are they gonna go next, huh? Where can they go? But I did think there could be some room to do something, and you're also doing something now. Like, are there any updates for anyone who might be curious about? Because it's you just said the title like 5 minutes ago. Again, my brain is just absolutely not on it today.
Oh, that's okay. I'm still not used to the fact that it has a title. I still like anytime I'm talking about it, I still just call it DB2.
Mm,
Like when I'm typing it out and but it's Without a Whisper is
without
the
a
name
whisper.
of
Okay,
yes. And
very alliterative. I like that.
it has a cover, which is really exciting because it's been over a year that I've been working on a cover for it.
Ooh,
So I aim to do a cover reveal in probably about a month or so, and I would say it'll
I was gonna
probably
ask
be
if
out.
you had any like release. I didn't mean to interrupt you by the way, but like
No, you're fine.
I was gonna ask like if you had like and no pressure at all, of course, but like was there a time you were thinking about putting it out into the world for all to see, or have you
Yeah.
not thought that far yet?
Well, the thing is it's done. It's been done for
Oh,
like a while. Um, but the problem
okay.
is I've been waiting on a cover and it has to go back to my editor one more time for just line edits
Mm.
and make sure everything's good to go there. So if I had to put a time frame on it, I would say probably December or January, probably more January time frame.
26.
Yes.
Okay. I was about to say because I also saw on Goodreads, and you can feel free to correct me if you're wrong, but I also saw like a poetry collection coming out in October, which
Yes.
this month is that also you, or is that another Molly Macabre in the ether?
No, that's me. Yeah, I threw together. So I was going through a bunch of old journals that I had, and I found a bunch of old poetry from like 2004, 2006, and I put them together, and along with some newer things that I've written, and I don't know. I just haven't. It's not really like a big deal thing. I just threw them together, and I put a release date on there and made my own little cover. It's just going to be a little ebook, but it's kind of mostly for me just because I think it's cool to have all of my old poetry together in one place. But it is there in case anybody, well, it will be out. I put a release date of Halloween, which I'm kind of mad at myself now. I think Halloween releases are overdone, which is fine, but I didn't want to do, but yeah,
You let yourself be a little hypocritical there, and then
I
you and
did.
then it bit you.
Well, I kept setting it to different dates because I wasn't sure when I was gonna be ready, and I think I just threw it on Halloween so that I could go and, like, edit it later, and then it got to this point, and I'm like, "Well, it is what it is."
Yeah, no, I hear you. What the hell's going on here? Um, yeah, no, I got you, But going back to Dark Bloom, I don't know if there's anything else to talk about aside from I quite enjoyed this book, and
Good.
I don't know if I would say I had a lot of fun with it. I always feel kind of like weird saying that about like kind of like no pun intended kind of dark books, but then
Right.
again, I like reading like dark depraved books for fun. So I mean, this kind of I mean, this kind of light sauce, like
Yeah.
this isn't something I haven't seen before though. The stuff with the ex-boyfriend was a little intense. I was like, damn, that's I don't know. I guess it's like kidnapping other people and like holding him for like your depraved set. That yeah, no, like that's kind of it's a little dark.
Yeah, just a tad.
I like how coy you're being. Like yes,
Have you read Tender as the Flesh?
I did. Yeah, I have. I actually, it's on my new bookshelf over there. I don't want to pull it out, but yeah, I've read it.
Did you like it?
I did. Yeah. The
Okay,
ending, I
you
was kind
said
of like
you
the ending. I was kind of like what, but aside from that, I enjoyed it.
yeah. Well, when you were like, I enjoy reading dark and depraved books, that was the first one that came to my mind, and I was like, I wondered if you read that. Yeah, I did that one on audio recently, and well, what really reminded me was when you said that like it sounds weird to say you enjoyed it because that's not a book that I enjoyed by any means, but I rated it highly because it did its
I
job.
appreciate I appreciated it. I'll say that.
Yes. It definitely made me uncomfortable and like, what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Dark Bloom is a walk in the park in comparison to like Tender as the Flesh because
Yes.
it's not a post apocalypse where people are eating each other. Um, but yeah, Dark Bloom, you didn't hold back. I mean, I thought it would be a little like angsty. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I see you. And then like I was like, oh well, okay, this is legitimately horrific at points. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, it's yeah, I'm getting really hungry, so I'm probably gonna wrap this up soon. I
Okay.
thought I'll be honest, I thought this was gonna take a little longer, but like yeah, this book, like I said, it moves really fast and it's not really like there's not really a lot of fat in there. I mean, there's like one scene where Kate's like, you know, where like Kate's backstory is explained, but that's it. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yep, we cut to the chase.
yeah. Which to be honest, I'm like, I'll cut you some slack 'cause this is your first book, and I mean, I'm not a published author, so whatever. But I'm like, I'd have probably cut that out, but whatever. I'm not, or maybe I think there could have been a more elegant way to explain that, but it's your first book, so
Yeah,
it's okay.
it's a learning process of like how to sprinkle things
Don't make it a
in.
habit though. Just it's from Uncle Britain. Don't make a habit of it. No,
Right.
I'm kidding.
Of course, never.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just kind of like, yeah. I mean, it didn't bother me so much, but it was just kind of like, yeah. Well, no book's perfect, I guess.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a learning process, and I think everybody kind of, well, especially I'm getting better at, I don't know, saying like less is more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sprinkling things in without actually explaining them, hinting. I did that a lot in the sequel, leaving things not to the imagination because I basically say what happens, but without leaving the description or how exactly something happens, leaving that to the reader. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's always. I mean, I always find that's more fun for me than when someone goes like, I don't know, my. Well, I mean, God, I'll just shut my mouth now. I'll take the implicit over the explicit. I'll just say that.
Right.
I'll just say that. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
Because like because if I said something like, "Oh, I don't want the character to just go like, oh, my dad beat me," because that just sounds horrible, you know. Like, I mean, it just makes me sound like I don't want to be bothered with your problems, you know. Like, I don't want to sound like that.
No, but I think it's a fun learning process when you're going through a book and you just keep getting like these hints of what happened and you're like, "Wait, did their dad beat them?" And then you keep getting like little snippets of things or emotions or flashbacks that aren't exactly fleshed out, and I think that's a fun way of learning about a character's backstory rather
Yeah,
than
or
just being like,
yeah, I mean, where you aired, I do think it was being a bit too clear at times, because like again, there was that line where Kate was like, "Oh, ever since her dad, she's ran these like not nice dudes." And I was like, "Yeah, it's a little on the nose for me," but
mhm,
again, it's your first book, so I'm not gonna like. Sometimes there's rough patches. I get that.
mhm.
I mean, you know, I'm working on mine still. 3 years long. It's 3 years in, but
It's all a learning process.
indeed, yeah. Um, but I won't take too much more of your time this evening. But Molly, thanks for coming on my channel and talking about
Yeah,
Darkbloom
thanks
for a
for
little bit.
having me. Absolutely. I enjoyed this, Britton. Thank you.
Yeah, well, as I like to do before the end of these things, if you have any social media, feel free to share.
Oh gosh. Okay. You can find me on X, you can find me on TikTok, you can find me on Facebook, Threads, Instagram. Um, Usually all of my handles are Molly underscore Macabre underscore. Yeah, I have a website that I sometimes remember to update. And then the Dark Veil Society website, that's where you can find my books and a lot of other
It's like check out
great
this new
indie
book I
author.
read or this new book I wrote. I was like, whoa.
Yes, yep.
Though you can
So,
find her on
that's
on
me.
Twitter though, because where sometimes she posts about snakes. So
Yeah. Yes. Sometimes.
anyway, again, Molly, thanks for coming on my channel for a little bit and hanging out and talking about this book. And until next time, hopefully this works out.
Alright, thank you so much.